Hello there. How are you today?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Good. It's Monday.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No anymore. I don't even want to I feel like every day that I send Colin to school is like, what will today be? I don't understand.
Hey, I've known he's had some tough days, but I didn't have much interaction with him today. But I want to say Friday was really good. If I have,
Good.
if my memory's serving me well enough. Hi, Tally.
He said it was good. I mean, he came home Friday. He was like, I had a good day at school. So he had a good week. So
Good.
I kind of tried to prep him today, to be gentle on Mr. Jones. He's been out not feeling well, I know.
So I don't know if you ever saw The Little Rascals with Froggy, but I just heard him for the first time today, and it's like Froggy with a whisper.
Oh,
Poor guy.
ooh. I hope he gets better soon.
Yeah. Hi, Katie.
Hi. Hi, Katie.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Steve. Okay, well, I think we have 3:30. Let's hope we get some more people.
Okay. I want to wait a couple more minutes because I'm hoping that Eric, he's our secretary. So let's see if we can give him a couple more minutes, if that's okay. And I'll send him a quick. I don't know if oh, wait, there he is. There he is, right on time. Okay.
Hey there. How's everyone doing?
Hey, Eric. Is that Brittany Brubaker? That's who that is? Okay. I can only see her first name. Okay.
Yes, sorry, I'm driving, so I'm
no,
gonna be
that's
off.
okay. Hey, Brittany. Brittany, I'm gonna send you an email later if that's okay. To talk about maybe if we could give the secretary duties full time to Eric.
Yes, I thought that was done last week, but maybe I had to permanently step aside.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Or last month.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, no worries then. Okay, I'll just shoot you a quick email then, okay?
Awesome, thank you.
All right, yes, ma'am. Okay, so it is 3:30. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting into progress. I just stopped. Okay, we've started. It's 3:30. Hello, everyone. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. You might not see me. I'm gonna switch to the minutes. Or to the agenda, should I say. Okay, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's 3:31 right now on Monday, February 28th. And then we'll do attendance and introductions. Eric, could you go ahead and do the attendance?
Sure. Valerie Anthony's here. I am here. Stephen Kugel, I believe, is here. Daniel Esco. Eloisa.
I don't think I see Eloisa yet, but I just saw her in Trader Joe's and I knew she said she'd be here, so she might be late.
Awesome. Laura Ottmer. No, Laura.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Laura's here. Yeah. Hello. I'm slow on the unmute.
Sure. Brittany. Brittany's here. Katie,
Yeah, I'm here.
Tally,
Here.
Patty Bloomer,
Here.
Sean is here. Laura Smith.
And then Mr. Ibrahim and Miss Johnson are swapping out, right, Mr. Keller? They're gonna take turns coming, right? Okay,
Yeah, most of the staff is taking turns. That was my deal with them to participate.
okay.
Denise Johnson.
So she's not here, but she'll take turns with like Mr. Ibrahim, so we won't count her
Okay.
as.
Okay. And let's see, Chantel. Patty Bloomer. Okay. And Steve is here.
Okay,
Can I just say to Patty Bloomer that your son is the most amazing oboe player I've ever heard in my entire life, and he made me have tears in my eyes and goosebumps at his concert yesterday. Congratulations.
oh,
Sorry.
so
Thank you.
cool.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We were very proud of him.
I second that. It was really amazing.
Thank you. He's worked real hard on that.
And okay, so we're done with attendance, and then Eric will write down who's absent. So if everybody got the link, I know that Mr. Keller sent it out in his principal update on Thursday. If you got a chance to go over the minutes, hopefully you did. If not, the link is right here. Go ahead and take a quick glance at it. And then I would like to go ahead and approve the minutes for last month, for January 24th. And then when everybody's done, just give me like a quick little thumbs up or, okay.
Yeah, it looks good, Valerie.
Okay. Thanks, Eric.
Did you say you emailed them or are they in the chat?
They're in the agenda. Do you have a copy of the agenda?
Yes, I'm sure I do.
It's right up there under item 3.
Thank you.
The link should be right there for you. And anyone else who needs it, Eric just sent it, put it.
I just put it in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, so I see Steven's done scanning. I got a thumbs up from Laura, Brittany, Mr. Ibrahim, Daniel. Let me know if you need more time. I got a thumbs up from
I
Mr.
am
Kelly.
good. Thumbs up.
Perfect. Okay. All right, we're good to go. I'm sure Mr. Ibrahim, he's probably doing something, so we're good. Okay, so I'd like to go ahead and just move that we approve the minutes for January 24th. Do I have a second?
I second.
Can we take a vote on that? Eric?
Madam Chairperson, this would be the time when you say, is there any discussion? And then we take a vote after the discussion. For everyone.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Okay.
So
Okay.
after the second, then you say, any discussion? People can go, if they would like to give their own point of view before a vote, and then we have a vote.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you. Do we have any discussion about the minutes? We're all good? Okay, let's take a vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, I think we're good, and I will lower my hand because you can't raise your hand without Zoom raising your hand, okay? Okay. We're gonna-
And I'm sorry, who seconded?
That was Callie.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that we have the minutes out of the way, we'll go ahead and roll over to the discussion items. So under RHD events, projects and upcoming events, Mr. Keller, do you have an update about the room 15 microbial inspection? I know that last month that was like a that was kind of like a discussion of kind of like making sure we all understood. Is that classroom, is second grade back in that classroom? What's the update for that?
Second grade's not back in yet, but I have to say, if I can get the pictures, I'll throw them on here.
Okay.
The classroom's back together. It looks really good. If you were to walk by the corner, there's just some, again, we're celebrating the 100th year of the building. It's that corner where it got into the wall. I mean, you'll see it's rotted. I mean, it's really bad. So for those of you that don't know, our maintenance director did resign. His last day was last Friday. So we're kind of in a hiatus right now. To begin with, our maintenance department was 2 gentlemen and our director. So 3 people total with an admin assistant at the DO. They're definitely shorthanded. So the outside piece to get the building up to where it needs to be, to where we know 100% it will not drain back in there after a major rain. That's going to be over the summer for sure. But the inside of the classroom looks really nice. Mr. Houston, if you remember Jill Houston, who used to work here in BASRP, her husband, Cliff, did a marvelous job. He went and got some shiplap, and he made it all look perfect again. He put plywood, he put the stuff over the plywood, I forget what it's called, but when you're doing walls, not caulking, but the other stuff that you put, he painted it, it looks marvelous. I've talked to Mrs. Darnell and Mrs. Bingham, and they want some changes because the room that they went to is configured the way they'd like their old room to be configured. There's some things that we need to do to make that happen. And honestly, I'm probably going to need to do it myself because we just don't have the people power to get it done right now. So we just need to get some things done. I moved their bookshelf back, and we'll get that drilled in tomorrow, get the books back in. And then we need to just reconfigure some things and move all their desks back when they're ready to go. But I'm really hoping that we can start them back in there by at least next Monday. And yeah, everything from what we know is good to go. I don't know how heavy this Thursday's rain that's projected will be, but it'll be a good indicator for us if anything, is wrong. But, we've had so little rain to, compared to that storm that we had. But the wall and everything is all redone, and we're ready to go.
Okay. Cool. And it wasn't the mold, right? That was like
no mold.
No mold. Okay.
I mean, again, I think the way that they inspect it, the experts that came in, they gave us the measures. It's all in that report. So, was there a little bit of fungi, like, not fun guys like myself, but, little mushroom, little spores like that. Were there any of that? Of course there was. But at the exact same time, there were more spores of that exact same kind of spore outside than inside. So they found at the time that it wasn't dangerous to the level for anybody who would be inside that room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
I'm
And
not
then
sorry.
when you say the maintenance director, is that Mr. Matt Kelly who addressed us about it last month?
Yeah, he resigned.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we look forward to see who's going to replace him
Okay.
and what's going to happen. I wanted to also mention that because the new director who comes in might prioritize what's going to happen with the monies in the district. So although we have made an agreement to have the playground done, the board has approved it, the new director may come in and say, hey, I see different priorities and make recommendations to the board, to move forward with a different project. So at this time, again, just to be clear, we approved something as a site council. Our Board of Education approved the exact same plan for our playground to go in next year. And unfortunately, if you remember Mr. Kelly stating, things needed to be solidified now in order to move forward in June and July. Now with the director change, that may be delayed.
Okay.
I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. And I don't want anybody to be shocked when we don't have that project move forward in the summer.
Makes sense. Okay. And speaking of, the next item was the playground update.
That's your playground update. The board has approved it, and I'm really hoping that it will move forward. It will be great to see it. We need those upgrades on campus.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. The next item is the CSUMB update. We're just still, I think what's probably going to happen with the social emotional learning and the social workers, we're probably going to have to look into right away using those that are in for their bachelor's degree. I don't think that when Sonda and I talked about it, hopefully we will work out all of the paperwork, and you have to get certain people that approve things. Sonda knows more about that to get those at the master's level. I think that we will all feel more comfortable with those at the master's level. Students for their bachelor's degree, sometimes they can be really young, right, new into the program, but those with their master's degree, they've already been working in this field, even at schools and things like that. And I think that we need more of that type of responsibility, and I think experience to bring into the schools, especially I think at the elementary level. So we're still waiting to find out from the individual who's over that program. And as soon as we know more, we'll get it started. But I think the overall understanding was that this will probably be more something that we can solidify in the, this upcoming 2022 school year and going forward. The next item is update PTA fundraiser for the overhang over the picnic tables. Is there any updates for that, Mr. Keller? I know we mentioned it last month.
Yeah, I have not contacted the company, so I'll need to contact them and then get it approved by the board. The PTA has said that they would sponsor it. So what I'm really hoping is that we can get that fundraiser approved. And when the good old days comes around, I would like to have a booth that people can get information and they can sign up and buy some bricks because there's so many people, thousands and thousands, if not millions, have gone through this building and gone to elementary school, or possibly back in the day when it was the grammar school and they could have, gone to 8th grade or possibly even 12th grade. There probably are still some people alive. So they may want to honor someone or a former teacher or staff member in some way. And I'm hoping to get the word out. On a different note that we don't have in the notes, because of good old days occurring, if you've been in our lobby, or if you come in for the next time when you volunteer, or if you just want to come in and look, Mr. Ibrahim was given an old panoramic, and I don't know if it was the day of the first day of school when the building opened back in 1922, but they took a picture from the corner of the 2nd grade where Mrs. Darnell, that room 15, they took a picture on Pine Avenue of the entire school. And it's really, really cool. So last week I talked to the PG Chamber of Commerce, and they're going to talk to the city for us. And for the Good Old Days Parade, they stop right at Fountain. So Pine Avenue from Alder all the way up to Fountain will be closed on May 7th. I've asked them to close it actually a little bit further down off of 12th Street. So we can take a picture and reenact that picture with all of the current students who'd like to be there, our current staff, and any alumni staff that have worked at Robert Down over the years. I think it would be really fun. And we can celebrate the 100th year of the building.
Mm.
And we can also kind of, then go down to good old days. And again, like I talked about with the booth, sell bricks and have the information for people. So that's the goal for that day.
Okay. Most status update. Oh, do we, I know that last month, Eloisa had asked about the status of the Spanish program. And I know that you had I know that you were gonna reach out to Ani Silva. Have we heard anything about that update?
Well, unfortunately, compared to the middle school, it's kind of in hiatus right now. There's nothing solidified for the elementary school. It has not been posted.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just say this, that you guys are welcome to go to board meetings and say, we support it. We've talked about it in our site council. It's something that we'd like to see, during their public comment.
Mm-hmm. And it was approved, right? I think I was at that meeting when it was approved. So it's been approved. That was a couple of weeks ago.
I would have to dig. I would go through the old board meeting minutes and just do a Control F and put in Spanish to see what comes up. Because I would have to go back to see. I want to say it was, but that needless to say, if we don't have the funding, then it's too much of a risk to throw out there. They might be waiting to see if some people retire, and sometimes in districts when people retire, they try to analyze, well, can we fold that position and not fly it and save some money? So that's kind of how it's done at times.
Okay.
But right now, it's up in the air.
Okay. And Tali put a question in the chat about.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm just saying.
Oh, what?
I'm just saying that Eden keeps asking if they're going to also offer ancient Greek. But it's not serious. I mean, he's serious, but.
Oh, I think Eloisa's logged in because she just sent a text, a chat saying the Spanish was supposed to start as ASC in the fall at both the elementary schools. Okay, so I think that
we have not had the after school enrichment classes because of COVID.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's going to happen at all this year.
Okay.
If anyone knows of a Spanish teacher that would like to teach that course, and the difference between regular school and after school enrichment is that for after school enrichment, it just needs to be obviously a fingerprinted, cleared, vaccinated individual that has a background in Spanish. They do not have to be teachers certificated.
Oh, okay.
And the after school enrichment is just about community members coming forward, parents most of the time offering something that they are an expert in. So if you know of anybody who's interested in doing that, they should contact Human Resources. More than likely, they would like them to offer the program at both Robert Down and Forest Grove. So we'll see if we can get something jump-started for ASE now that, if you haven't heard, the state will be lifting the mask mandate and going into a recommended status as of March, the eve of March 11th going into March 12th.
Can I just ask you a question about that? I don't know if you've had time to digest it since it just came out today, but
not much.
I think it still can be district specific and school specific, right? So
yeah, the board will have to give us guidance.
Okay. That's a big change.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the next thing? Okay, just more notes and takeaways for the Let's Talk book group. So the Let's Talk book group that Sonda does, we're actually going to merge her book group with the diversity committee. Let's Celebrate. So it'll be like, let's talk, let's celebrate. The diversity committee will talk some more about that, but we have decided to merge them. I know that Sonda's not getting the participation that she would like, but I think that a lot of it is because of COVID, but we're just going to try to merge the two and just create more of a community conversation and a community group. And so hopefully it won't just be Rubber Down, it'll be Forest Grove. I met with PTA, I think I met with Lucy on Friday. So just to help me have a better understanding of how different programs work together, you know, like she works with the PTA at Forest Grove also. So I'll do the same thing with the Site Council as well. But we'll talk more about that. The diversity committee, from here on out, anyone who wants to join, we will meet the first Thursday of every month at 2:30 via Zoom. And we'll just come up with new things to focus on, you know, and make sure that we're including all of us. We talked about the Hello Wall. I also talked to PTA about moving their information that was on the otter wall going into the auditorium. So that will come down and that will be the Hello Wall. I got an email from Amy. She helped me out just to figure out through surveys what languages she does know of that are spoken. And then I'll of course reach out to Chantel, because I think she can maybe fill in the gap for the other ones to make sure that we get all of those languages, and we'll start working on that wall. I start my service learning at Robert Down either this week or next week. So I'll use some of those hours. I have to get 30 hours. I'll be working in Miss Levy's class, but that'll be for poetry and creative writing. But I'll also use some of those hours to work on that wall while I'm at school. And then there's another young lady from CSU, and she'll be partnering with me. So for her to get her hours done too, she'll help out also, but she'll be fingerprinted by the district and all that wonderful stuff like she's supposed to. And then, so while we're talking about the diversity committee, I think I realize how important the diversity committee is and just what we all are doing as parents right now on the site council. And I realize that it's more important than ever. The fourth grade, and Mr. Keller already knows this. He was already, it had already come up to his attention as well, but the fourth grade team has an assignment called it's basically like learning about the pioneers, you know, and what it looked like for early Americans traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast, you know, the pioneers traveling across country. And I didn't study a lot as a kid, but of course, you know, when you watch certain documentaries and get some lessons or watch TV, it was pretty rough travel. So I think it's important history that they need to learn 100%. One thing that came up though is that my son Clifton, he's in Mrs. Brockmeyer's class, and I love Mrs. Brockmeyer. So, and she already knows that we're having this conversation as well. And it sucks because it kind of feels like it's throwing her under the bus, which it's not. She just didn't know about it. She's a new teacher. I love her and trust her immensely. So, but what came about with this program, with this assignment, is that my son Clifton, he got Wagon Train 2, and one of the families that he got was Paul and Ruby Bryant. And Paul and Ruby Bryant, you know, they had the son, they had a daughter, and they were traveling from Virginia, and they were farmers, and they also had some livestock with them. But one of the interesting things is last week, and they just started getting into this assignment, but Clifton came home last week, and Wednesday night at dinner, he was like, oh, my family, we're studying about the pioneers and and how they went across the country. He said, but my family has slaves. And he was not 100% sure what to do with that. You know, he is a child of color. He's one of the only ones in his class. There aren't a lot here at Rubber Down. And to get a family where that family was from Virginia, they were a Caucasian family traveling to California, and they brought slaves with them. They brought a male slave and a female slave. It doesn't say their names, but it just gives their ages. And that was a really hard thing to try to sit down and think about. And the boys have questions about it as well. And I think children will have these kinds of questions, right? The boys wanted to know, well, it was a long time ago. Why can't we learn about it? And I really wanted to stress to them that, for one, you know, America's a very young country. It wasn't that long ago. Secondly, this is very important that they learn that the people that were in this country prior to us, I do think it's important that they learn that they did have slaves. I just don't think that it's appropriate in this manner as they sort of reenact this pioneer movement from the East Coast to the West Coast, you know? And so with that, Mrs. Brockmeyer, she and I had a very honest conversation about it. I think, you know, her understanding is that 2 of the other teachers on the 4th grade team didn't know that her folder still said that this is an assignment that had been taking place at Robert Down years prior. I think that 2 of the teachers, though, when they realized it, I think they changed a few things around so their students wouldn't get it right, but hers didn't. But she and I had a great conversation about it. She also spoke to Mr. Keller about it. I think overall, I think most of us finding out about it were honestly just kind of like, wait, what? You know, like, crap, you know, that's not what we knew was in there. So she reached out to the 4th grade team at Forest Grove Elementary. I'll also have a further conversation with them. I think honestly going forward, these are changing times, hopefully for the better. But I think that what needs to happen is, and what I would like to see happen, I think there needs to be a good scrubbing of what's kind of lingering in these assignments for the kids. I mean, because the reality is that this is a big deal, but this is also very small, I think. This was just a small find, realistically. So I would hope that what comes from this is that we do a scrub of what our kids are learning at Robert Down Elementary and at Forest Grove, and this somehow translates also to the middle school and the high school. Like I said, I think it is important to not forget history. It's important for the kids to know that this was a part of it, right? But how they learn about that is important. And I don't personally want my child to, you know, reenact something where there are slaves involved, where he goes cross country with these slaves. I just don't think that that's appropriate. So the 4th grade team at Forest Grove, like I said, knows about it. I am going to take it up to the board to just, I think that policy needs to be kind of re-examined and just make sure that we are teaching valid parts of history, but in a more appropriate way and in a way that the reality is that we live in 2022 and we are all, whether we want to say it or not or know it or not, the reality is that, you know, we know that this narrative that we were told, it was false. And I think that we need to rectify that by just, you know, being honest about history, but how we tell that history.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie. And I'm glad your son had the courage to bring it up to you and that it's being discussed. Like you said, Angelique Brockmeyer is awesome. And she would have, if she was cognizant of this situation, she would have never done it. And, you know, I just think in prior years, she didn't do this lesson. And so she didn't understand that it was a part of it. And I know her biggest word to me was she was mortified when she found out. And she definitely didn't want to put your son in that situation. But I think, you know, again, times are changing. I don't think anyone would bat an eye back when you and I were in school. You know, here, obviously for Robert Down, it happened before and no one ever caught it, but we're in changing times. And now people are catching things like this. You know, I think this kind of a discussion definitely would be appropriate for high school for sure. You know, not that they could simulate it, but just the talk, you know, and so, you know, well, what if, you know, how would someone who, you know, how would someone become free if they were to move to a free state back then? I think that's important for a junior class in high school, definitely, you know, to learn about how laws changed and how times have changed. But I'm willing, if you're willing to write something up for the board, I'm willing to sign it, you know, that we are supporting this and we're looking to have our teachers just go through their assignments. Obviously, as a district, we are going through the social studies curriculum right now this year to see something to pilot for next year. And, they're piloting now and we're going to adopt for next year. So it's good that things happen like this because we want to keep it in the forefront of our minds and we don't want to repeat the past. So, sorry, Christina Renteria, you have your hand up.
My question is, as we may come across these kind of concerns that you are sharing, what resources do we have to go to about the most appropriate way? I know we're adopting a new social studies program, but has that social studies program been looked at closely in this viewpoint? Because I think that's very important to be able to examine it closely. And also, and if it does come up through natural conversations, whatever it may be, whether the mistreatment of Native Americans around for whatever holiday, where could a teacher go to make sure that we are doing the right thing? Because I don't know of a single teacher that wants to do the wrong thing. We just don't know where to go or what resources or where to check for information.
Well, and again, I haven't had this conversation with staff. We have a staff meeting this Wednesday, and we will talk about this. My biggest advice to the staff is to stick to the curriculum that's been adopted.
Yes.
Number one.
But even
No,
the
I
adopted
think-
curriculum may have false things. And I guess what I'm saying is, like, even with Native American history, I mean, it sugarcoats it, and or even missions or anything. And I think just everybody just wants to be the most respectful that they can be. And if it is, I understand about sticking to the adopted curriculum. I mean, I don't run across this as much because I'm kindergarten, but other grade levels will. And so I'm here speaking on behalf of upper grade, even in middle school. If this isn't, like, we just need someplace to go to be able to say, hey, I have this play from so many years ago and it uses this terminology, or I have this, or no matter what, we can't just stick to the adopted curriculum. We are going to branch out. And that is the beauty of Robert Down and Forest Grove and other schools, is being able to bring in those other enrichment activities that makes curriculum much more exciting than just the adopted curriculum.
Well, the other suggestion and advice I'd give is go to our diversity committee. So that's a good place to start. You have a group of committed parents from this group and staff. And I think
Well, now we do, yes.
Yeah, you know, I think so. Moving forward, I think that's a good place to start. For everybody here, I'm sorry, Tally, you're next. Sorry. But for everybody here, for the social studies curriculum and for any curriculum within the district, once it's been adopted by the board, it is placed out at the district office in their little L library there. Lobby. So the public can come in and look through the items. So please do that if you are interested. Sorry, Tally.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for sharing, Valerie, and thank you for coming right off the bat with proactive, and this is how we handle it, this is what we plan on doing, this is what we hope will happen. That's really great. But I also just want to say I find it really disturbing and really upsetting. And I of course, this is a forum, we're all collegial and professional, and there's no need to like have an outburst, but I find it really, really upsetting. I would find it really upsetting if it happened in our home. And I just want to acknowledge that, you know, we don't need to talk about it as like, oh, alternative perspectives or something like that. I mean, they're basic things that were part of the curricula. It should not be. And I think that you have in place a great, you have great hierarchy already in place. Your teams meet by grade to discuss and plan for. So let's say a parent raises a thing, or you're doing prep and you find it, your team group is probably the first place to talk about it and immediately escalate it to the principal, who could immediately, reach out to another principal or to a higher school and see what's out there. Call in the diversity committee to jump in, not wait for the next thing. I mean, and I think that also, having not grown up in California, there are few subject matters. It's not going to come up in SWAN math. Let's put it like that. There are a few subject matters that are taught in California, which are fraught with challenges, which we know, they are sort of these maypole mission, whatever. And how I think it's just a few basic areas that it's important to sort of comb through a little bit more thoughtfully, see what can be eliminated, see what is actually, what they had this in here, we would never do it that way, but it's an opportunity to actually talk about in a thoughtful way with our fifth graders, let's say, about whatever it may be. So, I mean, I can only put myself in the position and imagine some sort of, like, I've been very vocal about my identity. Having some sort of Holocaust reference or some sort of anti-Semitic thing in there, part of the curriculum, it would be very difficult for me to swallow that. And so I know all the intentions are in the right place. And I know every year there's so much thought going into improving the materials and thinking through what we're offering the children. But I think there's some low-hanging fruit in terms of some of the, 100 years worth of tradition that we focus in this area, that area, that particular to sort of California, that we could say, hey, let's just double check. Let's make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. So thanks for giving me a chance to get a little bit emotional. But thank you. Thank you for bringing it up here.
Do you have any other hands up or anything? I can't. Oh, no, I don't think I do. Okay. So yeah, I think, thank you for the questions. Thank you for the responses. I think going the right thing to do is to go forward to the board and bring it up to the board. And I think that we do, like Tolly said, we need to make sure it never happens again. But also, Ms. Renteria, I really appreciate I can understand what you're saying too, like where do we go to kind of figure out how to address these things. So I think Tolly makes a good point. Like when we see something, we have to know, like, yeah, we can't do that. But I also acknowledge that may be something that we need to bring up to the board as well. As a district, we need to have a place where teachers can go to, or resources, right, to figure out how they want to, when something does come up, how do we turn this into a positive experience? How do we make this better, or give it the justice or the voice that it deserves that maybe it wouldn't have had in the original plan. So thank you. So my plan is just to go to the board with it. I'll keep the site council updated on what comes from that. And then I'll also make sure I ask about Spanish as well. Or like you said, Mr. Keller, will definitely be on the lookout for someone that will be willing to come and teach the ASC. Let's see. Okay, so I think that the next thing is
I just ask one question.
Yeah,
You were
go ahead.
talking about the frequency of the meetings of the diversity committee on the Thursdays. I was just wondering, is it possible to maybe just post on Robert Down's Facebook, just maybe that's when the meetings were going to be, in case some parents didn't really know what was going on and wanted to join in. And then it also signals to the community, hey, this is something that Robert Down is committed to and works towards. Now, Sean, I'm sure you have thoughts on whether that's okay, it's not okay, and then whether it's feasible or not.
Yeah, the Facebook is through the PTA, so I can definitely reach out to them, and I don't think they'll mind one bit. Is there anyone who's graphically
Well, there is a flyer that we had from before that Valerie has. We could just make sure that the date information is correct on there, but she has it, so.
okay, and we can have the dates of the rest of the meetings?
Yeah, I could, I'll reword it and send it to Lucy. Matter of fact, I'm going to the PTA meeting tomorrow night. So that is something that I'll bring up and I'll give it to her, and I'll even just put first Thursday every month, and I'll put a thing for the next few meetings. That's exactly what I'll do, 100%. And then in the future.
Sorry, I was just saying, share it to me. I can put it in my principal's update as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. We'll do that from now on also. Okay. And that way the flyer won't change. I'll just put all future dates and just maybe take out the, and go from there. Okay, that's a good idea. Thanks, Tolly. Okay, so I think that's everything for now. I think we're moving on to the student survey. I know that a couple of us had met with Mr. Keller last month, or actually this month, earlier this month, for the survey. So Mr. Keller, you want to head that one?
Sure. I'm trying to find the copy when I often have at least 50 or more tabs opened in my, okay, there's the bylaws. And I'm sorry, I did not put links in here for everybody. If you can give me a moment, so I can find those. And if you could just go, if we could, Madam Chairperson, go to the next topic. I do have all of the different areas that I have to report on. But what I wanted to do different this year is to work with Site Council in for any areas that you feel you can help me provide some feedback. These are all the different areas that I need to provide updates for this year's SIPSA that will go into next year's SIPSA. It's a lot of different topics, and obviously the results of any kind of surveys that we have will go in there. But again, I wanted you to be aware of what those topics were. And if there's anything that we can put in the minutes with Mr. Bell to help me, and when I do write it, I would appreciate it. So if we just skip to that, and if there's anybody who has any bullet points that they'd like to add to that particular topic, please let Mr. Bell know right now, and he can put it into the notes. And I just need probably a minute or two to try to find those surveys. My apologies for that.
And Mr. Keller, do you think that, it would be easier if we had a team of people that went over the SIPSA, and kind of went through that? How do you?
We could have a team. We could kind of do what the three of us, you, me, and Laura did. Again, I'm just trying to be as transparent as I can be. In the past, I didn't share these topics with Site Council. And I felt that for our SIPSA to really be ours, that I needed to share these topics, and I needed to get feedback from this group, from our staff, from our leadership group. And so, again, it makes it ours and not just a report that I do for the school. But I'm more than happy to meet on another day if some people would like to meet within the next month.
Mm-hmm. Is anyone interested in helping to look over the SIPSA particularly? Okay, and I definitely will. I will definitely look it over with you though, Mr. Keller.
Okay.
Sorry, can I ask just a quick question, just to clarify? Are you just trying to put together a list of other topics to include in it, and these are some of them?
No, these are all for the update. We have to provide an update of the current plan every year. And this is every single topic that the state asks us to cover for the current SIPSA.
Okay, got it, thanks.
This is Laura. I'll meet as well.
Okay, I've got you down too, Laura. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So far it'll be myself and Mr. Keller and Laura Ottomer, and anybody who decides they want to later on, just shoot either of us an email. But I think that we'll come up with a date, and then Mr. Keller can send that date out too, if he's okay with that. And then anybody who wants to kind of jump on last minute totally can.
Madam Chairperson, I'm really sorry. I don't know why I was able to find it when we met together.
Okay.
But I cannot find the surveys from before. So
okay, no
I
worries.
will need a minute to find that link. I may have found them.
Okay.
If we can go on to the action item for the bylaws, because there is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And it, again, will just give me a moment to.
Okay. Sounds good. If everybody could look down at the agenda at number 7, the site council bylaws. So myself and Mr. Keller and Laura Ottomer, we did finalize those. We went through them and kind of worked out our questions. I think it was just the 3 of us. Oh, wait, Miss Patty Bloomer, weren't you there with us too? We did, no, you weren't? Oh, I've got a rough memory. Okay, it's a Monday. Okay, while Mr. Keller's looking for the survey questions, if everyone could go ahead and go into your agenda, it's item number 7, pull up the bylaws. It's pretty finite and final now. We just worked out a couple of kinks, and I'd like to just go ahead and vote on that. And that way the bylaws will be out of the way, and we will now have bylaws for our Robert Downs Site Council for the future. So let's take about, I guess about 5-10 minutes to just look over that, and then we'll discuss it if we need to and vote on it.
And Madam Chairperson, I was able to get those links into the agenda.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we'll circle back to that as soon as we're done with the bylaws and finish up. Good deal. I think a couple of other people are still looking over the bylaws. So if you need more time, cool. If you don't, just give me a quick thumbs up. Okay. Looks like we're good to go. Patty, are you good too? Okay. Okay. So with that said, I would like, okay, I'd like to motion that we adopt the bylaws that everyone has just reviewed as the Robert H. Down Site Council bylaws. Do I have a
I
second?
second that motion.
Okay. Does anybody see anything that they think needs to change, that they're not so sure about? Let's just discuss that if we need to really quickly before we place that vote. Okay, I see no hands. Let's take a vote. All those in favor of adopting the bylaws for Robert Down, aye.
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 Good.
Aye.
Sounds like we have a unanimous vote. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Keller, and thank you, Laura, because I know thank you, everyone. We've been talking about this for months. It's really good to have this product. This is really good for us going forward. Thank you so much. Okay, so that being said, we have our bylaws. Let's go ahead and circle back to item number 7. No, we're going back to the survey, item number 6. And Mr. Keller put the link in there for us if we need to check that out. I'm gonna pull that up now.
Yeah, so what you'll see, these are results of the surveys from 2019-20. And I did put 2 copies of the student version. You'll see the question at the very top of the results. And these again are just ideas. We don't have to use this survey in particular. I know for the staff survey, based on the update for the SIPSA goals, I need to provide very specific things for the staff that are driven by the SIPSA. So if there's anything within the goals for the SIPSA in number 7 that you think we should add that aren't present, then again, after the fact, you can always email me or text me and say, hey, Sean, make sure to have this as a part of the survey for parents or students, or all 3 for staff as well. I'm open to anything. I definitely want to get the right kind of feedback. I don't know when we will get this year's California Healthy Kids Survey results back. I know that as a district, we're finished with it. Unfortunately, as I noted in number 7 at the top, that not many people participated this year. I don't know if people were just done with surveys, but even for students, parents did not provide permission for 5th graders to participate. It's the lowest it's been since I've been at Robert Down, which is too bad because we're back on campus. But they can't take it unless we get permission from parents. And I sent it out several times. And even for the parents, in the past, I always provided that incentive that I'd buy either Taste of PG tickets or to go to a restaurant, because I just found out last week that they're not doing the Taste of PG. And only, I'd say 4 or 5 parents got back to me to prove that they took the survey. So I just think people are in COVID burnout right now.
Okay. And if anyone sees, I know when Mr. Keller and Laura and I went through, we were talking about some of the questions. A lot has come up this year. I mean, even in the Cocoa for Keller sometimes, right? Things about bullying and things like that have come up. If anyone, if you know that your kiddos at home, I don't know, are just coming home expressing things that maybe you're not so sure about, or other parents, please send that information to Mr. Keller so he can include that hopefully in the surveys. And hopefully, going forward when, masks, kids won't be wearing masks possibly, or I don't know what next year may look like. None of us do, but maybe next year, I don't know, we can just kind of maybe like work on this a little bit better. I think the last 2 years have been hard on people, have been really, really hard. Mentally, financially, emotionally, it's been hard. So if anyone knows of anything, or I mean, anything that you think that, a question that maybe parents want to ask, but just don't want to, I don't know, we need to include it. This is the time to just get it in there, so.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, I plan to add, and Mr. Bell, if you could add to the student survey, something I definitely will be asking about is cyberbullying and any kind of bullied through apps. It's a concern of mine with our 5th graders for sure. I've seen very little of it through 4th grade, but for 5th grade this year, I've seen an uptick, and I definitely want to ask kids about it, what apps they're using, so parents are aware of what's going on with their kids' cell phones, tablets, computers, etc.
Okay.
And I don't think it's only apps, but also, well, it's also just messengers. So it's not necessarily on a specific app.
Katie, do you want to name some of those messengers? Because again, my kids are older and I'm not catching them using that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, just like iMessage, something that the kids would have if they both have iPads, just basic texting. So and then sometimes they're using Facebook Messenger. But I know for sure a lot of the kids just use regular iMessage that, you would also use on your phone.
Yeah. I know in one of the issues I had to investigate, they're using, I'll put it in there. I forget the name of it, but it was connected to a gaming system and they message through the game. So while they play, they'll bully each other with messages as they play the game. So it could be anything through an Xbox or a PlayStation. And again, I forget the specific app. I'd have to talk to.
Oh, Discord. Eloisa said Discord.
Thank you. That's it. Yeah. Check.
Yeah, and then also TikTok. I mean, there's a whole bunch. Yeah.
Hey, Sean, can you hear me?
I can, Mr. Ibrahim.
Hey, another thing that came up last year is even our own email system. If it's open for certain kids, they can email each other, and there's no way a teacher will know what's going on because we're not checking it every day unless we have GoGuardian. And even at that, we still have to check it. So they could be using our own email client to send messages, and we're just completely unaware.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. As Mr. Ibrahim let me know that he's walking downhill, and that's why he's having a rough time.
That's right.
Yeah, we found out, just so parents know, we found out last year, some kids were getting into a lot of the things that we opened because of distance learning. Kids were getting into docs. So I know that at the high school, for example, they'll get into a Google Doc and they'll name it something really interesting. So as if it's an assignment, but then they'll get into the doc and they'll chat. And you can tell who's writing because they're signed in, but then there's other kids who look over the shoulder of other kids and they get their sign in. So then they act as if they're the other kid. And it looks like they're the other student. But they do a lot of nefarious things while they're signed in as the other student. Again, that's been at the high school level. I've heard a few things from Mr. Tavani from the middle school level. So just that's a warning to make sure your kids keep their identity private when they're at school, to do sign-ins, just like you would do a sign-in at your work or in public at the library or whatever. Excuse me. So are there any topics from the surveys for the students that just jump out that you don't think we should be asking again, or that we definitely should include again?
I just have a technical question. Isn't there a way to export the questions and you can even hide the responses when you use forms? It's very difficult to track the 100 screenshots to see what's happening. No, it's okay. I'm just asking because I know that in other like programs, you can do that. It basically would, you end up downloading a spreadsheet in order to review all of the responses, and you could hide, personal information that you didn't want to share with the rest of us.
I'll say since 2019-20, I've become a little bit more of a techie, so I know what you're talking about. But yeah, just for this particular one, it was the only way, because we used Google Forms at the time. It was the only way I could think of to provide results to families.
Okay.
But I know what you're talking about now, and I promise this time, if we use Google Forms, which I'm not sure, I'd have to talk to Mr. Ibrahim or our PG Tech team to see if we have another way of taking a poll or a survey. We might be able to do something through Synergy. Mr. Ibrahim, are you aware if we can?
Sorry there. So through Synergy, I'm not quite sure, but I'll let you know. I'm testing a new thing called Vivi, and it goes in the classroom, but I don't know at home if it can be done there or they actually have to have like the little router. But that's a new thing that we're beginning to use maybe. I thought though in Google Forms, you can extrapolate the information using a spreadsheet, and maybe after you could hide whatever information you want to hide, in the cells.
Yeah, I know that when you extract it as an Excel program or a sheet in Google, it has a question, but the questions, it doesn't fit. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Because the question can be so long, it only has the beginning of the question. So if you were to
I see.
a snapshot or, I don't know.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm sure there's a better way. I could talk to somebody who knows how to provide the information to people in a better form than I put out there.
To his Will. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, I'll leave you with that.
Mr. Keller, I know how to do that. Basically, if you get the spreadsheet, you can basically only have the questions. If you want to have the answers, but you can reformat the boxes so that it wraps the text and you can do it. And then so you sort of have a formatted thing that you can send out to people. We do it at work on the Microsoft 365 platform. So it works through like the forms and Excel and whatever. Here, like you said, it's sheets. Happy to help you. Even if we made a sample thing, I would show you how to do it. We could do it on here. But I think if you're sharing it broadly, that would be good. The other thing is when it's in Excel, and I don't really know how to do this, but you could actually analyze some of the data if it doesn't provide it for you, like your response rate or how many people, different scoring things. Maybe someone else on the team is more savvy with that if it doesn't, if it doesn't already give you that kind of information. But anyway, I don't mean to go down a rabbit hole. The important question is everything that's on there should be on there? And is there anything that's not on there that should? So we can do this as a sidebar another time.
Okay. Well, I look forward to you helping me out. So again, the last question I threw out there was, are there any specific questions that we should keep or not keep, or anything that we should add that Mr. Bell can take notes on right now for the student survey?
What about something like I know about school resources that could help me, or something about like asking if they know where to go when they have an issue, because if the answer is no at a high level, then there needs to be more of a campaign of these are your resources, and if it's high, then that's a good sign.
Hey, Valerie, take note. I think because if you go along with your hello wall, maybe we need a resource wall or walls, plural. So kids will know, and along with staff pictures, so they know who that person is. Because
that's
obviously I think that's something that we can work on.
Good idea. Okay.
All right, for the sake of time, if we can go into the parent survey. And are there any, I know we've mentioned a few things already.
I have another suggestion for the parent one. If perhaps an open-ended question that said, I would be encouraged to participate more if, or basically something asking about how can we, what would cause you to be more engaged as a parent at school? And then maybe a refinement of the communications question, because I remember in the last academic year, people were surveyed out, but we needed a lot of data. And there's also issues about sometimes the type of links that come through Catapult that don't work on mobile phones. So you're on the go and you're doing things and you want to read the message. So I would encourage perhaps a more refined question related to communications, whether it's an open-ended one where you should provide a response, or something like, I can easily access school provided communications, or I feel, how informed do you feel by the various communications that get sent out, or something along those lines.
For about a minute of feedback from parents that are here, are the S'more Thursday emails effective?
Yeah,
Principal updates.
I like them.
I read them every week.
Yeah,
And
I like
the
them
new
as well.
format is-
definitely.
The new format is better too. It's easier to read with your new template.
Okay, that's what I thought too. Because I can't do that in Catapult. And there's no texting in S'more, which is kind of a bummer. But I think with S'more as well, I can add videos at some point. And I like making it every week, just to, because I do the same thing for my staff as well.
I would recommend considering subheaders that are consistent, that give, because sometimes I think you open with some hot button thing that just happened, I notice, and then there tends to be some, maybe PTA related things. I think it would help people get to the information they need much more quickly. It's not, you don't send a very long thing, which I think is important because you're not going to lose people. But I do think potentially subheaders and sticking to that flow throughout the weeks helps people digest the information even more, and could potentially boost a little bit of readership. If I'm interested in the next dine out, I immediately, or whatever the thing is, or COVID related news.
Instead of talking about it at length in my opening, have a dine out section that's updated every time.
Sure.
Okay.
And even if the first section is like some sort of something that alerts you to this is important new Robert Down stuff, somebody might only read that and not the rest of the stuff, but at least get that critical part that you want is not buried, you know?
Okay, thank you for that feedback. Okay, so is there any other feedback for the parent survey? All right, so for staff that are present, are there any particular things we should be asking our staff that either is not present in the survey or you think that we really need to ask for this year?
I feel like you covered all the bases, Sean.
I agree.
Okay, well, for the sake of time, again, if there's any specific feedback, if we're okay to move on to number 7 for any updates for the SIPSA goals. If there's any specific things that you would like to say now, if you'd like to stay on and have a further conversation, I'm willing to have that. Again, I just want to make it very clear. I don't want to go in and be isolated on an island anymore when it comes to the SIPSA report. I want us to start thinking about next year's SIPSA. Just, you know, with the update, you kind of understand the goals that we'll make for next year. There's plenty of things that we have not been able to do. And there's things that, you know, I probably was able to do that just I didn't get to because of things that have come up. And I apologize, you know, to this group and to our community. Obviously, with the plan, things can get accomplished and sometimes things can't. I definitely want to make a plan for next year that's doable. I want to be very clear with this group that I'll be having a meeting with our Assistant Superintendent, Songchin Bendib. And from what I know at this point, we may be getting more funding at our site. I've asked for clarification on that because it's almost double the budget I've seen at Robert Down since I've been here, which is outstanding. It means I can get more dollars into the classroom. It means that we can really think outside the box and hire speakers. We can hire groups to come in to work with kids. It means we can, you know, possibly do some things we've never been able to do because of limited funds. So I'm waiting for that confirmation with my meeting with Assistant Superintendent Shinben did. I put out the question because I saw the amount and I don't know if you ever see those cartoon characters when their eyes just go, "Woo," you know, and they get all excited. That was your principal last week when I saw the email saying this will be your budget for next year. And I thought, this is great, but I just want to make sure before I start making plans and create a SIPSA that's going to go based on that budget. So with that said, I know we've talked about some possible groups coming to the school for anti-bullying. With that kind of budget, we could afford to do that. And if there's anything else that your friends or family and their kids are doing in a different state, different area of California, bring it on. You know, for the next few meetings that we have, let's really start to brainstorm, because in May, we'll need to finalize the SIPSA for 2022-23. And I just want us to really be on board with whatever plan we put out there. Ms. Renteria.
Well, I'd like to see more hours in the garden for science, maybe to have a year-round garden. Definitely. And I definitely would like to see, perhaps we could get more speakers speaking on cultural proficiency in the classroom. I think those two would be big targets. Like, the garden is very hands-on and they need to be outside and digging in the dirt and so forth. And I'd like to see some money spent towards that. I know we already have some, but I know my kids have not been out in the garden much this year. So thank you.
Thank you. Both great ideas.
I know that one of the things that was kind of holding us back from being able to get more social and emotional individuals from CSUMB was that we had to have a specific person that could watch those individuals. And it has to be someone with specific credentialing. I'll get back with Sonda about that. Like I said, she knows the exact numbers, but if this is something that we could work into that budget, an individual to oversee other individuals that are in the master's program to come in and get their hours while helping our children with the social emotional learning. That, I mean, that's just something perfect that can be targeted.
So something just, I may have mentioned it before to this group, but something that is in the works that has been approved for 2022-23 is for Ms. Sonda to have a partner.
Oh, good.
Be on a temporary basis for next year. And based on the monies that were written for the grant for this purpose, one person has to provide professional development. And what I've told Human Resources is that I would like Ms. Fruden to be that individual to lead the professional development, and whoever we hire to be the one who will meet kids on an individual basis for the services that she usually does. So it's possibly, what I'm trying to say is it's possibly something that Ms. Fruden can oversee next year if, you know, once we hire the other individual, whoever that may be. Obviously,
Okay.
we don't know it.
You say they're temporary. So what does that look like?
It'll be for at least a year.
Okay.
So it's a grant and those are limited monies. So
okay.
For now, the district has committed to having another individual work with her here. And I'm trying to think if we have to share the person with Forest Grove or not.
Okay.
I have to go back to the plan that Ms. Silva and Ms. Davies wrote for the district.
Okay. Okay, got it. All right. And Mr. Keller, I know that before when there were like extra funds, you had kind of sent out an email about ideas. Are you going to do that with this money as well? Or is this something that'll just stay within the site council and the staff for right now?
I'm open for ideas at any point in time. So,
okay.
Yeah, I would love to see some parents starting to get involved if they were to to see the ideas for our next year's SIPSA and come to the meetings and give us public comment or comment, when we're discussing it before we approve it.
Okay.
It is a living document. Technically, it's approved by the board. And, technically, for us to make changes, we'd have to go back to the board to inform them what we're doing. But I think it's really understood that within the updates that you provide every year, if something isn't accomplished, you just need to be honest. Hey, this didn't happen. This is the reason, and a lot of times in the years I've been here, I've had goals that I've continued because it's something that I definitely want to occur at some point in time. And, to look at what hasn't been accomplished, it's, well, how can we accomplish it? What needs to happen? Who needs to be in charge? And I think one thing we need to do as a site is we need to really reflect on our adjunct duty hours and see, okay, who can do what to help with the things that really need to get done to help kids.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Okay. I think that being said, let's move forward with future agenda items. Right now, the 2022-2023 Site Council, the SIPSA draft is there and approval is there. What else do we need to make sure is on the future agenda? I know we'll definitely place ideas for the additional funds coming in. Any other thoughts? I'll probably give the update on however, I guess the moving forward with the board reference what we talked about, prior to with that assignment. I'll figure out how to word that, but I'll make sure that everyone on Site Council sees that first also. Anything else?
Yeah, I would say, again, just to be clear for everybody, that whoever I meet with offline or, virtually, if we need to, about a survey, that we can have approval from this group to move forward with the survey so we can get it into the hands of parents, staff, and our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders.
Mm-hmm. And do we want to vote on that next month, or we want to just go ahead and do that approval now so we're good? Or
well, again, it's probably information that we want to put in the update for it goes into next year's plan, but it's the update for this year's.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important that we do get that feedback this month in March, tomorrow, so it can be in there.
I wonder if maybe, I'm just thinking about what you were talking about in terms of lack of participation in the survey. And I just wonder if anyone in this forum has some idea of how we might boost it based beyond what was tried before. And I wonder, Mr. Keller, if having some sort of why it matters and what the impact of it is kind of call to action along with the link. I mean, I'm just trying to brainstorm here, but I think, so much thought is going into creating it and into what we're going to do with it. We really need a high response rate. Laura raised her hand. Maybe Laura's got an idea.
I would agree with that, Tally. I know my daughter did take that survey, but I think the information about the survey was in one of those Thursday updates, and it was pretty fine print, and then maybe people missed the importance of it. So maybe that needs to get said again, unless it's too late.
That makes sense. And then I guess, again, maybe it's not appropriate, but like people use social media. Like, should you say, hey, don't forget to fill out this survey. It helps make our school better and help us serve the community better, or something like that. I'm just trying to think about the larger capture. Over.
Well, this is Laura. So when it's we're talking specifically about the student survey, right? I mean, it seemed like the response rate from the parents was, I guess, fairly high, 140 responses. So if it's student specific, is it possible, and we had discussed this, Valerie and Sean, when we had our separate meeting, but is it possible to do the student survey, set aside some class time and do it in class, and then the permission from the parents occurs at the beginning of the year when the parents are going through online and filling out information, and it's sort of a hard stop required response.
Yeah, it's easy. Sorry, Laura, it's easy for us to do that for the site council, but with the California Healthy Kids, there's very specific paperwork that goes home. Since it's an adoption from the state with West Ed, and we have to use their permission slip. It's a bummer that West Ed doesn't put it out in August, so schools can then put it into the registration packet to do exactly what you're talking about. It's so backwards. I don't know. I'm agreeing with you 100%. We definitely can do it for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders for next year. I'll just have to talk to Matthew Binder about getting that little nodule or button created in the registration packet.
Mm-hmm.
So. What about a video? Are any members of this team willing to be on a video that we could put out for these surveys? And do we have a resident videographer who could package that together? Are you married to someone? Do you know if your male person can make this video for us? Do you know a teenager who makes videos and puts them on TikTok, and let's put their expertise to good use?
You're gonna need dance moves if you're gonna do that. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
You're gonna need dance moves if you want to have
dance moves. I know how to do the centipede. I just would need to go see my chiropractor at some point.
Question, what about parent view? This thing is pushing notifications at me all day long between like my 2 sons at the 2 schools. What if we pushed through there like the permission slip? Because we did some COVID permission stuff through there also.
That's at the district level. That's beyond me. I'll let you know. I have not used Parent View at all, but I can talk to Matthew Binder with PG Tech to see what we can do. So that's a great idea to get it out there.
I think that would be a good idea. Like if I got an alert from Parent View, right, that there was a survey, maybe a parent would stop and, and then like Tolly was saying, you can, if you're on your phone or a tablet, whatever, you can say, oh, let me do this survey. I get a text message and then I can just, complete the survey. That actually might help.
But I guess if Laura is saying that the lowest participation was among students, and then Sean is saying it's because parents have to provide permission for them to do it. I think if we push the permission slip, we can get greater permission ideally, and then have greater student participation.
Agreed. So push the permission slip through Parent View.
Yeah, that would be the idea. And then, yeah, let's activate the district resources. Woohoo.
Yeah. And even if Mr. Keller, even if the survey comes out not in August, like what Tolly's saying, what if we just part of registration, we just put a button in there, do you give your kid permission to, and then when it comes out, just give it to the kids.
Yeah, again, I think I can work that out with Mr. Binder.
And like Laura was saying, it's a hard stop, right? You have to answer yes or no to move to the next page. And at least that way, whenever the Healthy Kids comes out within the school year, it doesn't matter, that parent has already given permission.
That's a little different because again, the parameters behind the California Healthy Kids are different than from our site council survey.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Very, very specific. I would say there are some touchier subjects in the California Healthy Kids that parents may not be okay with, and they'll want to review those questions. However, we could put a copy of a former Healthy Kids survey on there for parents to review and clearly state this is an old survey. There may be different questions this year. We might add a section, which we can do as a district because we're searching for specific things for kids to increase counseling services, to try to, you know, I think one thing we need to think about as a district is to get social workers in our district or a head social worker. So when there are these breakdowns of a family, that we can get somebody in there to help, you know, from K-12. Yeah, so I'd have to look at the California Healthy Kids and work with Mr. Binder on that.
Okay.
I think it would work for our benefit to do what you're saying, to have a button in registration. I completely agree.
One other idea, and then I think we're kind of going over in time. What if in the beginning of the school year, you gave the parents a sense of, we'll be reaching out to you for 4 times during the year for these 4 reasons. And these 4 things do these things for our school community, teachers, students, whatever it is. And then when it is that time of year, you know, like we told you, here we are coming to you, and people get a sense of they're only going to hit me up 4 times. They're for really important causes. You know, even just that might also, because you know, the Healthy Kids survey, I was like, are they asking me about food? They want to know if my kid likes the food. I couldn't, you know, and I was busy and trying to figure it out. And I think leaving the breadcrumbs and then reinforcing those messages from the earlier one, the more we can get people to participate in these important things, I think the better. So that's just sort of the hope with trying to brainstorm getting greater. And I think your newsletter is definitely a great venue to do that. Social media is a great venue. This app is a great venue. Hopefully through those, we can make some improvements.
Okay.
And I think Ms. Renteria, didn't you want to say something? Okay, I thought I saw her hand. Okay. Okay, so anything else for future agenda items? Okay. If we don't have anything else, then I think that we need to just go ahead and adjourn this meeting. So I'd like to motion that we adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there anything else we need to talk about before we move forward? Okay, and can we get a vote? Aye.
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 Okay, so I will see everyone next month. Our next meeting is March 21st at 3:30 p.m. Enjoy your Monday. Thank you so much for your ideas and your voices. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Valerie.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone. Bye.